What is up, everyone? DSP here, and welcome to my reactions to the WWE Roadblock event. And I can't really call it a pay-per-view because it wasn't a pay-per-view. This was a very special event that WWE put on, live streamed from Toronto, Canada, only available over the WWE network. And this is very similar to how they've been doing these events with NXT, where it's almost like the level of a pay-per-view, including several title matches and such, but it isn't a pay-per-view because you can't see it anywhere outside of the network. Now, the reason that this event was very special was because it was the first WWE branded event that wasn't NXT to be live streamed exclusively over the network, meaning for once it felt like you had value added if you were a subscriber. It wasn't like you were watching something that others who didn't have the network could still see. No, this was exclusive to the network, and in addition, the fact that several title matches were lined up, including the WWE Tag Team titles, the Divas title, and even the WWE Championship were slotted to all be defended. If anything went a different way than planned, perhaps we could see a much different landscape for WrestleMania, which is just a few weeks away in early April, so it was very interesting to see what was going to happen on this show. Now, let's be real. In reality, those of us who know the behind-the-scenes workings of WWE know that more than likely nothing major was going to happen on this show, especially just a few weeks before WrestleMania. WWE would not be jeopardizing their card for WrestleMania by doing a last-minute switch unless there was maybe some kind of an injury or something that needed to be taken care of in real life, and therefore maybe you needed to swap someone out. So was I expecting the world from this event? No. However, in some cases, I was actually pleasantly surprised. In others, I was let down. So let's talk about the matches. First off, to start the show, it was the New Day defending their tag team titles against the League of Nations. In particular, in this case, it was Sheamus and King Barrett. Now, they opened the segment by having the New Day come out to raucous pops. I mean, the Toronto crowd loved them, even saying New Day rocks, which typically the crowd will chant New Day sucks. No, they were chanting New Day rocks. The New Day came out and actually presented a real-life box of Booty-O's cereal, meaning that apparently they think their joke about, you know, you got to eat your Booty-O's and all of that is real. It was kind of lame and cheesy. At the same time, it was funny to actually see the box there. I think they went way too far driving the joke into the ground, having Big E pretend like he had a little kid voice and act like he was the League of Nations who had to eat his Booty-O's or whatever. I don't know. Their over-the-top comedy sometimes works. This time, I think they went a little bit too hard in. As for the match, it was pretty good. As usual, you got Big E and Kofi doing the wrestling with Xavier Woods outside the ring going for distractions with the trombone. It was kind of a weird match only because both of these teams are supposed to be heel, but at least for this night only, the New Day kind of played the role of face again, which was cool because we haven't seen them in the role of face in quite some time. It was a good back and forth match, a lot of interesting spots. It seemed the New Day was constantly isolating the members of the League of Nations. By the way, wherever the hell Del Rio and Rusev were, no one knows because they weren't there to help, so it was always a 3-on-2 advantage. Lots of high flying, lots of fun stuff. In the end, it was Big E who landed the big ending, ended up getting the 1-2-3 to retain the tag team titles. An okay match, nothing amazing, but we weren't expecting a tag title to change hands here anyway, so whatever, it's a good way to start the show. So, of course, you immediately follow that up with a match that makes absolutely no sense, especially for the venue. Chris Jericho versus Jack Swagger. So, immediately when Jericho comes out, being that he is a Canadian native, all the Canadians in Toronto erupt. Like, wow, we love Jericho. Jericho is so loved, he actually takes the mic and has to cut a promo where he basically slanders Canada and the Canadians to try to get them to hate him in this match. It did not work. His opponent for the night, Jack Swagger. I have no idea why. The Canadians didn't pop for him because he's a character who's supposed to be about American pride, so they don't care about Jack Swagger. The match was okay, both guys tried, but it was pretty much impossible to get over in a Canadian hometown crowd that did not have any investment in the match, especially when this match had no build-up whatsoever, so no one even knew why it was going on. Jericho eventually goes over. Who cares? On to the next. Now, the next match had a lot of heat with the crowd. It was Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy, a very popular tag team in the NXT division, facing off against Dash and Dawson, known as The Revival, for the NXT tag team titles. Why there was an NXT title being defended here on this event rather than on an NXT event, I have absolutely no idea, but I'm not complaining because the wrestling was great. If anything here, Enzo showed that he is willing to do some insane stuff. He did some crazy spots where Colin was constantly throwing him out of the ring, across the ring, over the top ropes. He was taking giant splashes and planchas and all kinds of moves. That guy is suicidal. Now, I'm going to be honest with everyone. I am not a fan of Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy. I don't think they're very good wrestlers, but they seem to have this kind of gimmick and charisma that has gotten them over with the crowd. And it was a really fun match in the fact that it was teased several times that they were actually going to beat Dash and Dawson. There were many times when that was it. 1, 2, 3, no. Dash and Dawson would somehow kick out, and you're like, damn, how the hell, are you going to beat these guys when they kick out of everything? And the ending of the match, in my opinion, was a little annoying because it was just like, out of nowhere, Dash and Dawson hit a double team, end of the match. You're like, so the entire match, these two guys are going hard at it. They really are craving these NXT tag titles. They're doing everything they can, pulling out all the stops. All of a sudden, Dash and Dawson just happened to hit a random move and win the match. It was kind of a deflating ending. And it really kind of honestly was lame because I've been watching NXT and there's been this angle developing for 2 months that there would be a culmination in a big title match. And even though the match was all right, I was kind of deflated that it happened on this event rather than on an NXT event. Just saying, it was okay. Let's talk about the next match. So the next match was Charlotte defending her Divas title against Natalya. And you might say, what? When did this get announced? I don't know. But for whatever reason, they decided to have a match between Natalya and Charlotte, probably because Natalya is a Canadian native, the family of the Hearts, and so she's all with that Canadian pride, that Canadian heritage, and this, I think they knew the crowd would be strongly behind her. Before the match, they show Natalya wearing a t-shirt of Bret and Owen, Bret kind of putting Owen Hart in a headlock, so of course the nostalgia factor is there, and she actually challenges Charlotte for the title. Charlotte says no, so then of course Natalya says, well, I guess what Bret said about the Flairs was always true, you're all a bunch of cowards. Of course, then Flair goes off the handle and Charlotte accepts the challenge, so the stakes are high for this match, and I'm going to be honest with everyone. This was match of the night for me. These two women know how to wrestle. They've wrestled many times in NXT together, and they know what they're doing. If anything, now finally you can actually see that Charlotte, when paired with a very technical savvy opponent, can put on a really great match, including there was multiple figure fours and reversals and technical holds that were reversed and all kinds of stuff going on. Charlotte, doing her signature moves. Natalya, many times rallying and landing her signature moves. It all ended up with multiple finishers and false finishes where Natalya was fighting through the figure eight multiple times, which was really awesome. She puts Charlotte into the the sharpshooter, and she's got her in the sharpshooter, and then Charlotte's reaching for the ropes and kind of reaches out to her dad, and all this drama near the end. How does the match end? Ric Flair gets involved, distracts Natalya. Charlotte wins with the roll-up for the 1, 2, 3. They've done that ending 400 times already. If anything, give me something, because it was so lame. Flair distracts her, like, that's it, match is over. Immediately, Charlotte rolls up Natalya, puts her legs on the ropes for the, the dirty, cheap heel pin, and you're like, well, yeah, that's how a Flair would win, but we've now seen this for the past 2-3 months that she's been champion. Can we get one kind of legit victory? You know what I mean? And no, they're not going to give it to you. That's WWE writing. Heels always have to cheat to win. So Charlotte retained. It was still, in my opinion, amazing match, best match of the night, best Divas match we've seen in a long time, and I liked the match very much. So now you can compare that to the next match, Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt, which makes sense because at Royal Rumble, the Wyatt family came into the ring after they'd already been eliminated by Brock Lesnar, and they collectively eliminated Brock Lesnar. So Lesnar's been looking for revenge on Bray Wyatt for months. Then they decide to change the match last minute and make it Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper in a 2-on-1 handicap match, except Bray Wyatt never enters the ring. Luke Harper has to face Lesnar by himself, basically gets suplexed about 14 times, easily defeated by Brock Lesnar. The match lasts like 3 minutes. It's a waste of complete time, and it was completely falsely advertised. They said it would be Bray Wyatt against Brock Lesnar. The match never happened, and it's complete bullshit, and anyone who was looking for that should be very up in arms. Now, of course, but you didn't pay for it. It's not a pay-per-view. Too bad. They advertised. It's false advertising, and I don't know if it was because something was up with Bray or whatever. Maybe they thought that having Lesnar destroy Bray or go over Bray would deflate Bray too much. I don't know. Then don't make the fucking match. The match was a waste of time. Terrible, horrible, very poorly done. I was very disappointed. I just want to stop talking about it and talk about the next match because I'm so angry. Up next, we had Sami Zayn against Stardust. No, I didn't mispronounce the name or whatever. Yeah, that was actually the match. It was not previously announced. No one knew this was going to happen. Made no sense. If anything, I could say this. It was a great match because these two guys are kind of similar in their styles. They can be fast moving. They can be high flying. They can also be very technical. They've got a lot of, ring experience under their belts, even though they still refer to Sami Zayn as like a newcomer. He's not. He's been around the scene for so freaking long as El Generico. This guy knows his stuff, and they had a great match. And it's funny because the match ends, and you're like, well, that was a great match. I enjoyed watching it. It's too bad there was no plot, there was no build-up, and we'll never speak about this match again because it was just a one-off match for absolutely no reason. And it just left everyone kind of scratching their heads like, it was good, but why did it happen, and why would we care? And then the final match of the night, Dean Ambrose against Triple H for the WWE title. Let's all be real here. I don't think anyone actually suspected that Triple H was going to drop the title only a few weeks before WrestleMania. He so wants his golden boy Roman Reigns to face him in the main event of WrestleMania that no one wants to fucking see and ruin the whole fucking event. Good for you, Trips, because you get your way and you ruin a whole fucking pay-per-view, you greedy fuck. But I digress. This match was quite freaking good. You had crazy amounts of spots. You had Dean Ambrose going at it. If anything, though, I have to say, even though Triple H, yeah, he kind of still has it, he's not who he used to be. He is a shell of his former self because he's older now and he doesn't wrestle that much anymore. He doesn't have the conditioning that he used to have, and you could tell from the get-go that he was gassing pretty quickly in the match. To his defense, he did stick in there, and it was a pretty long match, about 20 minutes long with tons of spots. At one point, they went back and forth, almost trading finishers and reversing each other's finishers in the ring. Finally, Dean Ambrose hits the dirty deeds and pins Triple H 1, 2, 3. That's not an exaggeration. That's not a lie. That actually happened. Dean Ambrose pins Triple H 1, 2, 3. And everyone's like, that's it. He's the champion. It's right. We just saw it. No. The ref says no. And everyone's like, what? And the ref says, oh, Dean Ambrose's leg was under the ropes. So I'm like, okay, this was a staged spot. Let's take a look. They couldn't produce one camera angle where Dean Ambrose's leg was actually under the ropes. Now, they may doctor it in the next couple of days so that it looks like it. He wasn't. His leg, from all angles when you were watching this pay-per-view, was not under the ropes. It probably was supposed to be, but it must have been botched or something because he was not under the ropes. Per rules, he should be the champion right now. The entire crowd was so fucking white-hot pissed. They're like, what, are you kidding me? We just saw the fucking match. He didn't have his leg under the ropes. Bullshit. So they resume the match. Dean then goes outside and does a high-risk maneuver, doing a flying elbow drop through the announcer's table. Triple H, of course, moves. And then Dean goes into the ring, gets pedigreed 1, 2, 3. Triple H retains. And it's like 20 minutes invested. This great back-and-forth match, right? It almost seems like WWE is giving Dean Ambrose the seal of approval to move forward in the top of main event picture, since he has technically a pinfall win under Triple H with just some kind of a bullshit technicality. But no, I guarantee you, and this is why this pisses me off, this was the chance. If WWE really wanted to mix up WrestleMania, if WWE really wanted to have something special, they would have done a triple threat between Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and Triple H. Fuck Brock Lesnar. I don't care if he wrestles a fucking paper bag at WrestleMania at this point. Yeah, people want to see him, but I'd rather have Dean in the main event picture rather than him be feed for Brock Lesnar, which is exactly what he's going to fucking be at WrestleMania. It's bullshit, and they should have given him a legit chance to win the title. They did not. It was staged from the get-go that he was not going to win, obviously. It was bullshit, and it was terrible because you're watching, you're like, you feel for the guy. You're like, he's struggled all these years. He's the top. He really is much better in the ring. He's much better on the mic than Roman Reigns. But they want Golden Boy Roman Reigns because he's in with the Rock's family, the Samoans, and he's got the fucking, the look that they're going for, and he's big and burly, and he, fucking bullshit. All the shit that fucking Vince gets his big on fucking hard on for dudes because he's fucking probably half gay. Yeah, that's why Roman Reigns must be in the main event of WrestleMania no matter what. So fuck, Dean Ambrose, just because he was born not a giant fucking, big ass burly dude. He gets screwed, and it pisses me off. It really does piss me off. It disappoints me because once again, here we are. Someone we're getting behind. How many years do we have to get behind people? Because WWE builds them up, and then just fucking deflates you at the last minute. They won't take any chances. And ultimately, that's my biggest criticism of Roadblock. What do I mean by that? Roadblock was basically just an over-glorified house show. And in fact, everything about it screamed house show. You had matches that were previously unannounced that happened out of nowhere for seemingly no reason. You had title matches where you knew no one was going to actually drop their titles, and predictably nobody did. Everyone worked their ass off for a smaller crowd than usual with no payoff. And that's what I don't understand about this event. Like, okay, you wanted to build hype so people will maybe get the WWE Network. At least give us a reason to fucking watch. If you didn't watch Roadblock, you don't have to watch it. You've missed nothing. There's no plot lines that have been changed, and it's just a one-off thing, and you can pretend like it never happened. And that's the problem. If you want people to subscribe to the WWE Network, you have to give them some kind of invested value. You can only see this amazing thing on the network. And all the peripheral shows, the Edge and Christian show, and all the shit that they're doing on there is fine, but it's still not going to get a hardcore wrestling fan who's been a fan of WWE for years to otherwise buy the network if they already haven't. This show, Roadblock, was a failure in my opinion because it didn't do anything special. It played it safe. They had a chance to make it a must-see event, and instead they made it a must-skip event because really it was just frustrating to watch all these guys work their asses off for absolutely nothing, in particular Dean Ambrose getting the biggest shaft of them all. What the fuck? I don't know what's going on. The event, it was alright to watch, but I certainly hope that WWE doesn't think that having these non-televised events, only streamed events, is going to get people to buy the network, because it ain't. Alright, so what did you think of WWE Roadblock? Please leave a comment on the video and share your thoughts, get some discussion going, and WrestleMania is right around the corner, which means that I'll be doing reactions to that as well. So, thanks for watching everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you soon with more of my reactions. Peace out.